Beautiful people, welcome, 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 Bonochi, good evening, and welcome to the sixth edition of the Bou di Watapana series, an initiative by Stichting We Connect and Pakhuizes Wij. Here tonight, we are diving into the theme of community building. All of us have heard a lot about it. We're part of the Dutch Caribbean community here in the Netherlands. There's so much happening in the world, in politics. But we're here, holding on, holding strong, staying strong, and exploring what community really means together, how we can support one another, and how we can grow stronger together. And the guests that we have today will be sharing their stories, experiences, and lessons that they've learned on their path. And we're going to have a great time together. We're going to laugh, and we're going to cry, and we're going to sing, and we're going to dance. Mostly laughing and crying. My name is Gilberto Mauricio. I am your moderator for tonight, and it's a joy and a pleasure. Just for your information, there will be pictures that are being taken by photographers, and there's also a video recording being made. But don't worry, every side is your good side, so you look perfect. Perfect. So let's start with some of the speakers. The first speaker that we have today is John Sandeford. Born in St. Martin and raised in Europe, John Sandeford is an entrepreneur, designer, and philanthropist. As founder of Antonio Media and co-founder of Rebuild St. Martin, he combines creativity and community impact driven by a long mission to make a difference and inspire others to do the same. Put your hands together. Woo! Glad to have you here, John.
Thank you.
Our second speaker is Viviana Lopez Paz. Viviana Lopez Paz is a facilitator and collaboration designer who helps people and organizations work better together. As co-founder of Compass for Students, she supports young people from Aruba as they build new lives in the Netherlands and create spaces for connection, confidence, and growth. We're glad to see you here. Put your hands together. Woo! And lastly, but definitely not leastly, we have Dr. Juren de Hoy. Dr. Juren Hoy is a leader, author, advisor, communicator, an all-around queen, as I like to say, dedicated to building more inclusive and just communities. Drawing from her Caribbean roots and years of experience in the social sector, she works as an advisor, lecturer, and board member focused on participation, equality, and systemic change. So, are you ready? Put your hands together for her. First of all, guys, I'm super glad to see all of you and to have been able to share a nice meal with some of you just before. It's some of you I've met before in different capacities, all of you actually. And it's always great to be here to kind of bring all of those different flavors and experiences together in this space, together with our beautiful audience who's also going to be sharing in this moment with all of us.
Should we clap up for the audience?
Yes, we should. Remember, y'all look great. Woo! So let's start with just your perceptions and perspectives on community. What does community mean for you personally? Viviana, you're sitting right next to me, so let's start with you.
Community for me means support. Support that I can get from the community, but also support that I can give to the community. I think many times we forget that support is available to us. We think, oh no, I can do this alone, but in reality, you cannot do everything alone, and that's where your community comes in.
Beautiful. Shuren?
Community means for me a group of people that has the same doelstellingen to help their own people, but also the environment they live in, and also the kids from the community, from the people that they form a community with. Like, for instance, for me, my community is my family, my parents, my brothers, my sisters, but also my nephews, etc., but also the neighbors.
Yeah.
With the same type of principles that I have.
Beautiful. Thank you. John?
She took some of the words right out my mouth. I would say community is home. Community is legacy. Community is the friends, the family, the ones that are close to you, but also those that are far from you. Because definitely in the diaspora sense, this is already community. Most of the faces in here I don't know, but I think by the end of the night I'll get to know some. And that community can stretch beyond the seas and also give you that feeling of home even when you're far from home.
Beautiful. I mean, we have pastiches, so I mean, that's definitely home for
I
me.
had two already because I was stuck in traffic, didn't get no dinner yet, so the two pastiches pulled me up. Community is pastiche.
Exactly. That's the answer. That's what we're talking about. That's why they're here. So, a bit. Let's dive in a bit more about all of your work. Let's go back to Juran. What inspired you to start doing community work? What is it that you do? I mean, I know you've been doing a lot of stuff in
Well,
Amsterdam.
you all framed it as community work, but I don't see it as community work because I'm an advisor, but I'm also chair lady of a couple of boards. And if you ask me about the communities that I tried to work with, I can go back 41 years ago when I came to Holland.
Well, that's why we're here, to hear the story.
41 years ago.
I love
ago.
me some good lore.
When I came to Holland and I went to study in Maastricht. And I was one of the few students from the islands that went to study all the way in Maastricht. And I remember in my second or my third year, the studiebegeleiders asking me if I would have time to try to help the students from Curaçao and from the other islands that came to Holland and to Maastricht to study, or in the regio of Maastricht. That's where I started, helping my people. And that's like a rode draad in my whole career. And now that I'm in the top, and now that I'm a board member, or sometimes I'm even the chair lady of the board, I still again try to bring more people, and especially females of color, in the board. So I'm trying to make a community of women of color, young women that are a little bit older, but especially young women of color, to take a position in those boards.
And why?
Because I'm convinced that a white zeven vinkjes board is not the way to go. That's first. Second, I'm convinced that if you want to get to good decision making in such a board, you need people that are different than you. I call it complementariteit. I don't call it inclusion anymore because I don't believe in inclusion in that sense. If you're telling me really that you believe in diversity, then you must believe also in different voices at your table. And that means that you have to accept me as a black woman, as a loud woman, as a woman that knows what she wants. What you might perceive as being the angry black woman, I perceive as being a flamboyant, knowledgeable black lady. You understand?
Oh, we love that.
And that's what I'm trying to do, to bring those voices at the table so people can understand that if you're really talking about diversity, you have to take also into consideration voices that might make you feel uncomfortable to have that at the table too.
Lovely. Wow, I love the complementarity aspect. I think that's such an important thing.
Because people make the mistake of thinking, okay, inclusion is I have this female or this man of color at the table, or the
You need to be
transgender or whatever,
assimilated, you know.
and then we click the box.
We did it. We
But
fixed
you
it.
have to be as I am. Because at this table, it's my culture that is
Yeah.
dominant. That's why I'm done with that inclusion story.
Yeah, we fixed it, you know. There's like
And if
five people
if you talk to
color.
me about, okay, I want complementaire voices at the table, then you must be willing to hear my voice, your voice, and the Zeven Vinkjes voice.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think you must be willing to hear and also accept it, not just hear me out.
I'll be happy if you hear it, because accepting starts by hearing. And hearing, I don't mean like you nodding and you tell me, hier doen we dat niet zo. Because that's not really hearing. Hearing is for me, ik hoor je, goh, zo heb ik er niet naar gekeken.
Yeah.
But that's your perspective. Maybe we have to bring your perspective also in the decision making.
And there's a key difference between hearing and listening.
Exactly.
So you can hear everything, but have you actually listened to what was being said?
Yeah. And since you're already speaking, what has inspired you to start doing your community focused work?
Yeah, I'm not even sure if I would also call it community.
We could call it potatoes, you know?
Yeah. What has inspired me? Well, funny enough, I had the pre-alignment and I kind of went pretty in depth and personal. So perhaps I should also open up that Pandora's box here. But a few years ago, I was part of a mastermind and I had a business coach. And within 20 minutes of first meeting this guy, he wrote 2 words on a flip over. And he said, "This is your purpose." And I was like, how the hell does this guy know me within 20 minutes of a conversation? But the words were role model. And it really hit me like a ton of bricks because I went back in life and really saw that it has always been an element of my identity. So for those that don't know me, I come from a pretty large family. I have 6 sisters and no brothers. I have 18 nieces and nephews, 6 grandnieces and nephews. So you can do the math.
It's a
I've
lot
been
of
an
Christmas
uncle.
presents.
I've been an uncle since I was 3 years old. Yeah, I'm buying these Christmas presents.
You know, funding the community, that's for sure.
So the community already began at home and having to play the role of uncle already as a kid and having a certain amount of responsibility from young. And I just saw that continued on in life, that I always felt that once I figured things out and discovered things, I always had a need for sharing. So once I got onto my entrepreneurial path and saw that there were other ways of succeeding, because many times from the Caribbean, we're pushed in particular safe paths, the lawyers, the doctors, so going off of the beaten path is not something that is usually encouraged. And because I chose to go off the beaten path and became somewhat successful at it, I also felt that I needed to share that back with the community. So it's that role model aspect has been sort of the driving force in the community building, to show our community that you can achieve things and you don't always need to have the validation from outside or others. You can also pull up your own pants and get out there and grind and make it happen. So that is one of the key motivations for the community aspect. Let's say a more entrepreneurial drive.
We're gonna touch back upon that
Yeah.
in a bit. Viviana, what inspired you to start doing your work?
Well,
Potatoes.
like you said as well, the need, well, it didn't start off as a need or a true, not a true, but a want to, okay, I have to help people that are from my community, but really from what we saw in our peers, right? When we came to the Netherlands, Dion and I, we felt that there was a gap in support from students coming to the Dutch Caribbean to the Netherlands to study. And there were so many questions being asked about things that in our minds were supposed to be logical, or were this information that you're supposed to receive before you come here, before you make this huge step. and it wasn't there. So that's the gap that we were like, okay, if it's not being done by somebody else, then we'll take the flag and we'll run with it and we'll do it ourselves. And that's kind of what snowballed our work at Compass.
The Aruban flag.
The
You
Aruban
ran with
flag in
that
this
one.
case, yes.
But yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, how did you balance it? Because I mean, that must have been a big step, right? You taking that step and seeing that something wasn't there and you fulfilling that gap.
For sure, yes. I think Dion took a lot of the heavier work because he quit his job to be able to do that, for example. And that's how kind of we managed to balance it because we were with the two of us, which makes the load a little bit easier because you can not only brainstorm with each other and think about ideas and, okay, how are we going to do this? But also the actual work, the grind of it that people often don't see. That's how we kind of manage it
Yeah.
both, and also with work because this is not what we do as our 9 to 5. I have two other jobs pretty much. I work at a corporate from 9 to 5. We have our own business as well, and we have Compass. So it's truly a balancing
Yeah. And,
Thing,
and what's the magic trick?
time,
there?
passion, indeed, definitely dedication and support from our
Lovely.
community.
What's your magic trick, Julian? How do you balance your personal growth with your community responsibility? Because we spoke before, and you're a freelancer for 8
I'm
years.
going to say something that I should say, but
Speak the truth.
Say it,
Speak the
say it.
truth. This is a safe space, y'all.
one of the
Spoke
reasons
up.
that I can manage, because I have a very, very busy agenda and schedule. And I can only do it because I don't have a family in the sense that I don't have a man at home waiting for me to come home to help him talk about his day.
Yeah. Process his trauma. Cook a meal.
So, in a sense, I have a lot of time for myself to do with my time what I want to do. And one of the
Yeah.
things that I get energy from is when I can help somebody, or if I can, support somebody to become what they want to become, whether they have schulden, whether they have a lot of debts, or a young lady calling me, oh, I would love to be a commissaris, but I don't know what to do. You know, if I have that 5 minutes that I have left, then I use it for the community
beautiful.
building of the community work that I have to do.
And how do you keep yourself empowered?
I come again with what I started. My home is my temple. So the minute I come home, because as a person of color, and certainly in the area that I work, there's a lot of microaggression
Yeah. It's
and
some
yeah,
BS, right? Right.
all the time. So the minute I come home, then I'm in my temple. So I meditate.
The sanctuary of
walk.
Juren. I love that.
Exactly, and I walk every day 7 kilometers.
Oh wow, that's specific. I love it.
So that's how I get back to myself, so I can energize again to go outside and do what I want to do.
Beautiful. How do you balance it, John?
I was going to actually say community,
I mean,
but I've only been able to start really doing the community activities until at the moment that our business grew to a certain height that I could have a team around us. So I see our editor is just out of the room, but here we have he's stepping back in, and here we have an intern that's doing a great job. So at this point now, I'm able to delegate a certain amount of the work, focus more on the ideation and the validation rather than every step of the creation. Because if I had to also be doing the creation part, it wouldn't work because I also have a business. I do consultancy through the business as well. I have a family, twins, 8 years old.
Lord.
So there's
Twins, y'all.
lots to juggle.
Twins.
There's lots to juggle.
Twins. Amazing, amazing. But yeah, it's so important that all of you have at least like found a way to keep yourself sane in the midst of
Yeah.
the insanity that is the world.
But that was also a learning process.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, okay, when we started, I weekends, what are weekends? What is time
What are
off?
those?
No idea. But now I also learned that I need at least one day to not think or try to not think about everything that needs to get done. So it's definitely a learning curve, and as a reminder to everybody, you do need that time off for your own sanity.
For sure.
And learning to say, which is very difficult because
No.
I'm 60 and I still have that problem, learning to say no.
That's still very
Yeah,
hard
that's
for me.
the word, that's the hardest part I find, to say no,
Yeah.
can't.
Wow.
But that in itself is like a discovery journey into the self and getting a better understanding of your purpose, your values, your worth, and starting to practice that no more often. Because oftentimes a no doesn't have to be a concrete no. The no might just be the start of a negotiation. So in this current setup, in that context, my answer would be no. But if you can at least come two steps towards what I'm looking for,
Yeah.
then perhaps that can turn into a yes.
Sometimes the price is right, y'all. Speaking about no, you speak a lot about freedom. And you say freedom is central to a lot of the things that you do. What does freedom mean in the context of community?
Whew. Freedom in the context of community.
Or your freedom in the context of community?
Sorry?
Or your freedom in the context of community?
I would almost go to the classical American phrase, freedom of speech.
I mean,
The fact that that we can have these type of conversations, that you have spaces to be able to express yourself, that you have freedom of movement, freedom of choice, freedom of cultural diversity, etc. Um, yeah, you maybe baffled me with that one. I know I had a very good answer previously, but
every answer is a good answer, right? There's no right or wrong, at least not in this context. Viviana, you've helped so many students with your transition to from Aruba to the Netherlands. What would you say was your own transition like in the context of Compass? How did that shape Compass into being what it is, and what do you feel students are missing now?
I think my experience was perhaps the most regular experience that a student faces. So I had the trajectory of having an Aruba laning, having that POC support when I got here. I had my housing was already there for me when I got here. So in that aspect, the support was still there, but I saw other students who's didn't have that. So I feel fortunate to having had that. However, it's that contrast that made us start Compass. It's the contrast of somebody that is fortunate enough to have that support, whereas you have somebody who comes from the same country, the same island, and has nothing of support, absolutely nothing, simply because of the level of study that they have come to do. And that's kind of where we said, okay, this cannot happen. It should be equal for everybody.
Yeah.
Support needs to be there for everybody, regardless of what you're doing, who you're coming with, and it should just be a standard.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the drive behind Compass in general as well.
Beautiful. I mean, I think it's very relevant. I think what you touch upon also in the context of looking at the reality of students' lives before and the impact that you've made now, I think it's so important for us to remember that we are making a difference and that you saw a gap, you saw something that was missing, and you created an intervention together to that actually addresses these issues.
Yeah.
So thank you for that work. Juran, in that context, you're someone that has always invested in you've always been a community leader. At least that's what I would say. What does it mean to you today compared to back when you started with all of this work that you were doing? How has that shifted?
You know, my example is my father. If you want to talk about community building, my example is my father. My father was a policeman in Curacao, and whenever there was something in the neighborhood, they would come to ask him, or he would make an intervention. Um, so if you can you repeat the question again?
So community leadership.
The community leadership.
When you started. And
When I
now.
started. So because my father was my example, I had an example how to be somebody that can help your community.
Yeah.
Um, Along the way, I've seen also that our communities, our community, if I'm talking about the Dutch Caribbean, we don't have a lot of role models. That's why you triggered me when you said that. We don't have a lot of role models. But what I've also seen is when our communities see a role model, they can multiply themselves. Look at the football team.
Yeah.
Look at the baseball team.
Yep.
And I can give you a couple of examples. They just need a push. And if somebody, one person to believe in them, and they can hit the ground running.
Yeah.
That inspires me also. So I stopped helping everybody. I don't do that. I need to feel that you want to become something, and then I'll give you my all.
Because it's very difficult to help someone that doesn't want
Wanna
to
be
help
helped.
themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we make the mistake to think because you look like me
Yeah.
means that you have the same motivation than I do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I've hit my head with that many times with my own people.
Or sometimes we think, I can fix them. I can fix them. I can fix it.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
That's
a
not our
disease.
job.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a psychological
Yeah.
mess.
Yeah, I feel like that's a thing with a lot of people, right? It's like, oh no, I can fix her. I
No,
can
no,
fix.
no.
Don't try and fix him.
That's a different level of maturity. It's time to get beyond that. But can I build a bit
Yeah, please,
on what
please.
Juren said? So you triggered me when you mentioned role model, because the main motivation behind the podcast that I started is the fact that outside of the football players and the baseball players and a
Singers,
few
rapper.
celebrities, there's not many visible role models for our community. And oftentimes when we are in the news or are presented, then it's the let's say the not so role models that are presented. So the the inspiration to actually start the podcast was to highlight the Dutch Caribbean role models and those in different walks of life. So we've had various people on the show. Well, including someone's brother here. That's a physicist working in CERN in Switzerland, sub 30, doing his PhD. That's from Dylan to well, we did have singers as well. Down to DJs, a local girl from St. Martin that's now DJing in LA, and she was on tour, the official tour DJ of Carol G for a year and a half. So this is also coming from the creative space,
Yeah.
where many times in the podcast she mentioned how some of the teachers told her she was crazy to even try and go and pursue something in the arts. And then you need some of these crazy ones that go out there and show you that it's possible, and now inspiring a whole new generation to pursue their arts in the right way.
You know where this is thriving? A lot of people think about in the Volksmond, they call it the Belmer as a problem area. there is a major sense of creativity
Yeah.
and creative, uh, um,
Expression.
not only expression, but the creative industry
Yeah.
in the Belmer in Southeast is very, very booming. From museum to clothing to you name it.
Yeah.
Even pop up restaurants with like interesting concepts. I've seen a few of
Yeah.
them. They're so beautiful and delicious. Um, let me touch upon your work because your work integrates some of the tools that are needed for us to kind of thrive here, which are the practical and mental health support. Why was that so important for you?
Because we don't talk about it. I think mental health is a topic that should be talked about openly and freely. And I think on the islands, especially, it's seen as taboo. Because if you go to the psychologist, we all know what happens if you go to the psychologist, and that's simply
Low
not
pabata.
true.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's
Bom bom bata, okay?
and
Bom bom bata.
exactly, and that's the narrative that we also want to change amongst the students. So I'm very proud to say that we're one of the first, if not the first, organization that paid attention to mental health amongst the students of the Dutch Caribbean, to the point to now we offer free access to psychologists year round to the students. So we're trying to open up that conversation with our community, but also to not let people think that they are alone. Coming back to what I said about support, that you're not alone in your trajectory. And if you need to talk to somebody and you don't want to talk to per se your community, there is somebody there to support you.
Yeah.
In whatever language that you choose, there is somebody to hear you out and to remind you that it's okay not to be okay.
Beautiful. I have a question for you. So after the 2017 hurricane, you mobilized people for rebuilding St. Martin. What did that experience teach you about mutual aid and trust?
Mutual aid and trust. Could you elaborate on that a little
I
bit?
mean, when you do projects like these, it requires a lot of community initiatives,
Yeah.
right? I think um, something that sometimes our communities struggle with, right? Like how do we collaborate? How do we come together?
Yeah.
How do we help each other by providing resources for the others that they need? Kind of like what you guys did, right? Like you saw something and you created the opportunity to build that up, and now it's an organization that's running. But before that, it was just like a little bit of aid for the people that needed help, and you scratch my back, I scratch your back. So what did that teach you? Um, Within the context of St. Martin in a post disaster period, recovery where everybody was struggling because everybody lost so much.
Yeah.
What did you learn?
Yeah, where to begin? uh, actually been getting survivor's guilt PTSD over the last weekend because seeing what's
Yeah,
been
what's
happening in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Following that to the T was like following the trajectory of Irma and
Yeah.
the speed and the build up, and just bracing and knowing what was going to hit them. Um, it was a crazy period. We we mobilized very shortly after, high on emotions. At the time, six of my sisters were still on the island. Luckily, my mom was spending time with us because the twins were born exactly a month before Irma. So personally, it taught me resilience to the highest degree, because the twins were born, Irma hit, and within 2 weeks, I had four of my nieces and nephews living with me in the Netherlands and arranging school and everything for them. So we went from having zero kids in house and being
Wow.
young and free and
Wow.
to having six.
Being the community parent, Lord.
A 6-year-old, 8-year-old, 13-year-old, 15-year-old, and 1-month-old twins. So it taught me a different level of patience, a different level of resilience. Just within the home with my wife, it taught us so much about ourselves. And then going out there and striving and sharing this message. In the first couple weeks, in the first week or so, it was absolutely nuts. Because the whole sentiment online was, we don't trust the big organizations. The bosses of the Red Cross are driving around in red Ferraris. So we're not going to be sending our money there. And that was part of the initial drive that if no one is doing something, we got to do something.
Yeah.
Eventually, obviously, the Red Cross, I think they raised about 13 million. And I know for sure they've executed many great projects on the island. I've been personally attested to that. But the fact that you could bring so many people together, mobilize so many people, and the fact that we were, as a community, sharing what we were doing and the reasons behind it, we got a lot of support from all different corners. One of the nicest examples I always give is the fact that at the time I was part of a networking group, the World Trade Center Eindhoven Business Network Group. And they asked me to give a presentation on disaster recovery alongside someone else. And after the session, someone came up to me and said, "I need to connect you with someone that's going to be good for you." And eventually, they connected me with the chairman of Stichting voor Kinderen. And what they do is they get all of the sports equipment from schools throughout the Netherlands that have been written off. So after 5 years, the stuff is still pretty good. I mean, comparing to what we have back home, it's still brand new. And then they fix it up and they usually donate to schools in Eastern Europe. And the only place on the Dutch side of St. Martin where kids could learn Turner. What's Turner in English again? Gymnastics. Gymnastics, ballet, and something else that they were doing there. They lost all their equipment because the roof went off. And it cost thousands of dollars to replace it. And eventually, 90% of what they required to completely rebuild, refix it with equipment, we were able to get from them for free.
Wow.
And we just had to pay for the shipping to get it to St. Martin. So the day when we showed up with 2 truckloads full of equipment really felt like a Christmas in
Yeah.
in the
Santa John.
Caribbean. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Junan, what are the most valuable tools we can give to young people to continue this type of work that we've been speaking about right now? What is it that we need?
This is a difficult question because it depends on who I see in front of me, what I give. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if I have to choose the 3 most important things, is attention, and not the Facebook, Instagram type of attention, but real attention that the other can see that you see them.
Yeah.
Honesty, I find is very important because sometimes we don't want to be honest with the other because you don't want to hurt the other person, but by not being honest, you can make things worse sometimes.
Yeah.
And people might be upset with you, but when you're honest with people, they will appreciate it on the long run anyway.
Tell the truth. Yeah.
Tell the truth. That, you can help somebody by being honest. And if you cannot be honest, just don't say anything then.
The constructive criticism, right?
Yeah.
Constructive feedback.
Otherwise, don't say anything. And give back. We do underestimate how much dopamine and energy it gives you when you give back to your community. Because I'm here because I got from my community, I got from my parents. So giving is the third thing that I say is a good thing to do.
Yeah, making giving a practice, making
Yeah,
that a muscle, I think.
giving and thanksgiving.
Giving
You
and
know?
thanks. Ooh,
Yeah.
the alliteration is on fleek, y'all. Giving and Thanksgiving. Speaking about giving, you speak a lot about knowledge, and you say we shouldn't gatekeep knowledge. We should give knowledge within our community. What are some ways we can start breaking the habit of gatekeeping? Because that's something that a lot of people like doing.
What we're doing right now, talking to each other. I think also coming back to what you said about honesty, being honest about what we need, about what we expect from each other, and being open and not afraid. I think in entrepreneurship, I see it a lot as well, that people often don't want to share their idea or their business idea because they haven't done it yet and they're afraid somebody else is going to steal it. But so what? Somebody else is never going to be able to do what you want to do because you can only do it the way that you do it. So why not share and let that idea become bigger? Share with others what you want to do. Maybe you can get help from that, or other ideas or other ways of doing it. So be open about it, be transparent, honest, and communicate with as many people as possible and as often as possible.
Beautiful. I mean, I think the openness and the willingness that we have, how we show up in the world matters, right? I think when we show up with faith and with trust, right, and with the attitude that what we are doing is for good, and that we believe it, even though sometimes we can't see it, that this is how we will move around the world. That's the type of energy you're sending out. That's also the type of energy you're going to attract, and the type of people that you surround yourself with, right? The intentionality that we have.
Exactly. And not forget as well why you're doing it. I think sometimes often we forget the why we are doing what we are doing. In our case with organizations, we're doing it for the students. We're doing it for other younger people who still have to go through this trajectory. So don't lose that sight of why you're doing it and say, oh no, I'm doing it for myself. Because at the end of the day, you're not doing it for yourself.
Yeah. And how
Be honest. Can I?
Yes,
Because
yes.
you triggered me. Be honest with yourself why you are doing what you're doing. Because if your ego is telling you to do it,
Then that's it.
the result will not be the same that if your core, from your belly, that's how I call it.
Yeah.
Because then you don't need to thank you from the other one to feel good about what you did. But if you do it for your ego,
Yeah.
9 out of 10 times it's going to be problematic in the end.
Yeah. And it's going to be discouraging because you're not getting what you want from it because,
That you just want recognition for the work that you have done. And well, that's great. That's also nice to have, but that's not the main motivation and the main reason behind it.
it's also, it doesn't really make it flow, right? Because then you're doing it for a while. And I mean, it lasts for a period, but you can't really sustain that energy. So maybe just an added follow-up question for you. How do you deal with disappointment, or when things don't work out, when people do violate the expectations? You give and you give and you give with grace. I'm not sure that's the right
It
word.
sounds
but
very aggressive.
it's like violating the law. It's like it's a totally different context. But yes, when people do not harmonize with with the energy that you give, and they take advantage, how do you deal with that?
That's I think that's a very layered question, because I wanted to say very bluntly that's their problem and not mine. Because I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. So if people are going to violate that, it's really not up to me to. It's up to me to reject that, because I think that I know why I'm doing it, and yeah, at the end of the day,
No, but I get what you're saying because it's so important to, it's about the principle, right? It's about the principle that you live, and it's about your own worldview, and in which measure do we allow individuals that take advantage to destroy our worldview and to steal our purpose and our path and our passion and our work from us by telling us that the way that we are moving around the world is wrong. Maybe they're the ones that are wrong.
Maybe, but also also a learning opportunity, right? Within our business, we work in innovation, so every
Yeah.
failure is a lesson. Whereas I see it then, okay, this happened. What do I learn from it so I can not do it next time, or I can do it better next
Yeah.
time? So it's not really a disappointment, but more like a lesson to be learned.
More
Thank
so,
you.
it's necessary.
Yeah.
It is necessary to meet people in your life that are energy vampires, is what I call them sometimes.
Yeah.
Oof,
It is
Ooh.
necessary because everybody that you meet in your life brings you a lesson that you have to learn, and you you cannot avoid in your life to meet somebody that will not be honest with you or that will drain you, even if it's in two gesprekken.
Conversation.
Sometimes you have one conversation with somebody, you get home, and you're tired like hell.
They steal your spirit,
You're
It's
tired
true.
like hell. You don't understand why you're tired, but they suck all your energy.
Bad vibes.
But that's a lesson for you to learn your own boundaries,
Yeah.
to learn how do I handle people.
Empire
Like-
Sage and Sage Your House.
That's why I say it's needed. Because otherwise, because you don't know what is sorrow if you haven't known what is happiness. It's the balance in life. You have to learn the sorrow part so you can understand and appreciate the joy.
Yeah, the circle of life, The Lion King song. Q.
We getting deep.
You know?
It's the aging. It's the aging.
I got a gray hair sooner. I could go deep too. I could go deep.
Speaking on aging, this is also a question for you, Julian, actually.
Why me?
I mean, because you were already speaking.
It's not the white hair.
How do you
Think it is,
how
not
do
my
you see the
liking.
role of intergenerational exchange between the older and the younger generations?
Oh my lord. I find that we are living now in a very individualistic world. The world of Instagram and TikTok. And everybody thinks that's the real world. And those are communities also in a sense, but if we don't watch out, we're gonna lose the sense of verbinding, real connection with each other. I find that's a menace for the younger generation. You see now the younger generation having much more mental health problems, in my perception, than when I was growing up.
It's the phones. My mother was
You see
right.
everybody. I don't know if you do that in the metro. Sometimes I do it because I'm on my phone a lot of the time too. And sometimes I'm like, okay, let me look around, and everybody is like,
It's not good for the back.
and not so for your neck, and also for your eyes
And your brain.
and your brain too.
Don't get me
You
started
know,
about
there's
that. Brain rot.
that I find is a difference between the younger generation and my generation. The other thing I find different is that the younger generation are more non-apologetic than when I was growing up. Whether they are activisten, whether they are
Activists?
activists or they want to go for something that they believe in, they are more non-apologetic. When I was growing up, people would say, "Can you do that?" And what would people say about you? Or what would people think about you? I find that the younger generation has that less than when I was growing up.
That's good.
Yeah, That's what I see. And
How do you see the role of exchange? Because obviously, how do we make sure that we receive the lessons from the older generation?
that's a difficult
And how do
one
you
too.
share them to the younger
That's
generation?
a
I mean,
difficult
we're
one
sharing
too.
them right now. Right now, this is a
And
format
That's a
for
difficult one too because
intergenerational exchange.
I work also on St. Martin, helping building the prison because of Irma, and I work on the islands too. 10, 15, 20 years ago, if I would see a younger generation being mischievous or doing or riding a bicycle recklessly, I would say something because it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah,
And that's what I saw my father doing in in the neighborhood where we were born and we would grow up. The neighborhood where I was born is now like a little bit a ghetto neighborhood, Buena Vista. And when were growing up, it wasn't that worse, but it is worse right now. Um, that is gone. I don't see people do that as much as I used to see that anymore. And if I'm honest, I don't dare do it either easily.
yeah, yeah.
You know, just so that I find is a major difference.
How do we
Something
do
that
it?
stayed the same though is, for instance, when I work in the southeast area and I visit schools, that the children in the class call their teacher Mrs. or Meester, and they don't talk with jij and but they got from home to say u. And every time that when I'm in the Belmar and I walk in this classroom and they do that, I'm like, oh my Lord, I grew up also like that, having
Yeah.
respect for the elderly. That was something that I find is a little bit more or less the same, but the other things are different. And it's much more a struggle to convince an 18, 19, 20-year-old, because you have the wisdom that they don't have, that the path that they're taking might be not the right path
Yeah.
to take.
So I guess it's a challenge for all of us, for us to figure out.
It is.
John, one question for you. Your podcast focuses on highlighting us, as in us. Why was that shift from me, to us so important? Like the focus on I, yourself, to the focus on community. Why was that shift so important?
so I'll pull the older card. I turned 40 this year.
He doesn't look a day over 30.
You keep on rubbing it in, don't you?
No, I'm not young anymore. Once upon a time, I still feel young at heart, but I have to admit I'm definitely not as flexible as I once was. So this year I've been calling myself the OG now. I've reached OG status by being 40 plus. So as you grow and you continue to go down a path of self-discovery, you continue to go down a path of trying to understand who you are. You start to become more comfortable in also understanding what is the ego and what does the ego represent to me, and how do I start to let go of that ego. Definitely, if you on that path and you also go down the path of building a stronger relationship with the man above or the lady above, well, the being above, um, you'll start to connect and discover more and more what's your purpose.
Yeah.
So with that sense of role model being the purpose, I already know what I can bring myself. But I know that there's so many more stories out there. And as a community, telling the stories as a community. And well, I'm also a big fan of Marvel. I mean, they've been pretty sucky in the last couple of years, but Avengers Endgame was the ish, and Infinity War. So I also believe in that, like, Avengers type moments of bringing together all of these strong individuals in their own right that are superheroes and kings and queens in their own right. But when you bring them all together, you create something like magical that you can't even explain.
Like the
So,
classic "Where's Roger Rabbit" from back in the day.
oh, now you're really bringing me back. Yeah.
2 points for those who understand.
but it was that sense of representing us, but also the fact that when I was that 18-year-old and I look outside, I couldn't really see many of the role models outside of the sports players or the musicians, etc., of people that look like me that I could look up to. So where are the other examples?
Yeah.
And where are the other examples that can also like speak on in a way that I would really understand, that I would connect with their struggles. So
Yeah.
it was all of that that was developing, and the idea really majorly developed during COVID when we were
Wow.
all locked up in our houses. Is at that time I would actually spend maybe every 2 months or so spend a weekend by myself in a hotel and just think, write, and brainstorm, and that's where the idea really birthed. Like, wow, this is something that is not there, and I feel uniquely qualified to do.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, closing question for all of you. So, looking at where we are now in the Netherlands, what gives you hope about the Dutch Caribbean community? Um, Quick answer. Viviana.
What gives me hope?
Could be one sentence, could be a word. Could be silence.
What gives me hope? Us.
Us.
One word.
Perfect. Shuran.
I would say us too.
Us.
The
John.
fact that the community is getting stronger, it's becoming more visible, and it's becoming way more interconnected. Because I came up in 2003. I mean, the first time I showed up here was about 2 years ago, and I was like, wow, this stuff didn't exist when I was a student
Yeah.
coming up. This is awesome. So the fact that these things exist, and even when I started the podcast, I thought I was like one of the only ones. And then within a couple months' time, I saw that, well, We Connect also has a podcast. I saw Bite the Bullet. All of these things I didn't know existed
Yeah.
when I was busy with my idea. I felt like there's absolutely nothing there. I need to step up and do something. And then before you know it, you see that others had those same thoughts.
Yeah.
And now there's even a community around that that's building and growing. So the fact that we are more interconnected than ever before, and I believe that will continue to grow. So that gives me
Amazing.
hope.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for sharing all of your thoughts with us. It was beautiful. I think it's so important that we have created a space like this, that everybody is so open and honest about their stories, about their struggle, that we are one community, that we do this together, that we recognize the role of being role models while also understanding the balance that we need to hold within the work that we're doing, that we're all leaders in our own right, that we all have to keep on giving, but that also that we have to create an attitude of giving, an attitude of trust, an attitude of hope. We carry each other on each other's backs, we hold each other up, and together we move forward. And moving forward, we will be having our wonderful artist, Ludwella, who is an Aruban singer-songwriter based in Amsterdam, who combines elements of R&B, pop rock, and dream pop together with other Caribbean influences, aiming always to create something new. She writes in English and Papimento about her hopes and Papimento about her hopes and fears and how she learns to deal with these in conversation with nature. Her first EP, A Collection of Dreams, is coming out at the end of November. Thank you, Ludwella, and thank you to the panel also again.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Yeah, my name is Ludwella. It's my first time performing as Ludwella, so yeah. This first song is about something I feel like we all can relate to. At least me growing up, I went every weekend to the beach. I went to the beach for family gatherings, birthdays, friends, everything was surrounded around that. And yeah, it's almost like a family member, but like any family member now that I'm here, I miss them a lot. So that song is dedicated to that.
When I was younger, I used to think that the salt in my tears came from the sea. For every agent weekend I'd visit, in the ocean I'd leave a part of me. All my worries and fears, laughter and tears, strands of hair disappear in the blue and sea. I can almost hear the waves welcome me back to the place that knows me like the back of its hand, like a grain of sand floats peacefully to the ocean floor. Now again you're greeting me like an old friend. In this moment I'm whole again. In your transparency, there's no secret I could keep. I could keep. Y si me lo guapo nunca más, por lo menos me da guapo de que soy. Aku botalumin por visita más. Tristeza que no me importa aceptar. Sin miséria meu bom não sou me por imaginar. Por você acuta carícia e calmar. Ribando mi cas, ribando mi cas, ribando mi cas, ribando mi cas.
Okay, this next one is about finding love, but I feel like it's more generally applicable to community as well, about finding love when you think all hope is lost, and it keeps surprising you over and over again. So yeah.
The sun greets me and warms me up, even from a million miles away. Just like you were lighting up my day. Just when I had given up, like an answered prayer, you came along, and there
eradicated all my doubts. I waited and waited for this to come again. Used to crave it like it was all I lived for. I waited and waited till I could wait no more. I had nothing to lose. Can you imagine a life other than this one? With no other soul but yours. It could have been anyone, but it was you. Together we made it beautiful. Together we made it. Inspiration struck the earth. The stars aligned for us to meet that day. Serendipity, a work of art. Oh, time and time again, taking up the place my fears will be. Layer after layer set me free. I'll show you the parts that I usually keep away. Show me yours to promise I won't run away. From the moment we met, I knew I would let myself be overcome by you. Can imagine a life other than this one, with no other soul but yours. It could have been anyone, but it was you. Together we made it beautiful. Together we made it. So many ways, I never knew I could feel safe, but now I know you were waiting for me too.
That was beautiful. Thank you so very much. Yeah, you were great. You were great. Clap again. Yes, I'm entertained. Yay. Now, before we round off, obviously, instead of the reverse where you guys ask questions to the people here, I have questions for all of you. So, yay, now you guys are getting to work. The first question, when you think about the Dutch Caribbean community here, what's one thing you feel proud of and one thing you wish we could do better together?
Hi. Um, to answer this question, I'm proud that we have citizenship, that we have free passage to come to the Netherlands. That gives us an opportunity to look for ourselves and find ourselves. And one thing that we could do better is not forget our place in history and our place in the Netherlands and what we did to be able to be here. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Another point for another person right there.
I'm not sure if this is an answer to your question, but the other day I met this lady called Lucia Beck from the Herdenkingscomité Slavernijverleden. They are also present here. And she was telling me that like the first and the second and the third generation from Dutch Caribbean, we are 800,000 here in the Netherlands. 800,000. So I think it's up to all of us, and I'm also participating in that, to like connect with each other. Because if we're truly 800,000 people here in the Netherlands, we have a lot of capaciteit.
Yeah.
That we have
Capacity,
to,
power.
So it's a start.
Beautiful. Anyone else? Like, I want to hear your thoughts. I can do this silence game really well.
I'm gonna do this in Dutch. Waar ik me echt heel erg trots op voel, dat is de aankomende generatie Caribische jongeren. Ik heb het voorrecht gehad om sinds 2019 met hen te mogen werken. En ik kijk er erg naar uit, naar de creativiteit, naar de connecties die zij maken, naar het willen samenwerken, echt vanuit een intrinsieke waarde. Dat ik echt ontzettend uitkijk naar de toekomst samen. Wat we beter kunnen doen, is elkaar ook daarin vasthouden. Want er zijn altijd krachten die dat kleiner proberen te maken. En dan hebben wij de neiging om dan ook stil te blijven. Niet meer doen. Laten we elkaar vasthouden, helpen, ondersteunen.
Mooi. Ja? Oké. Nou, er is één persoon hiervoor.
I understand that we are 800,000 because probably they are counting marriages with one or both parents coming from the Dutch Caribbean living here. And then I understand that you reach, because officially the statistics only talk about 250,000. So, but they do not take into account the amount of marriages that they are and the kids coming out of those marriages. Yeah. Because yes, I understand. That's why I could imagine, but I never thought about it being so much. So thank you very much for that information. But what I'm proud of is, as all the other speakers said, the creativity and our young people coming up. But what we should do is try to learn to connect, try to find each other. There are so much of us. I've been to different talks, and I've met anthropologists, IT, and I don't even know that these young people, young professionals exist. We can't find each other. So make a platform where we can find each other and know that we are there. So if we need each other for anything, we can find each other. So that's one thing I'm really want to work on. And I'm going to have a meeting with an IT young professional who has his own company. And I mentioned this in the talk, and he came afterwards to me and he told me, I would like to team up with you to work on a platform like that. So
lovely.
I'm working on it, and I hope we could get a place where the diaspora could find each other. That's a very important part.
Perfect. Yeah. And that leads us to our next question, which is, what does real community support look like to you in daily life, and how do you personally try to show up for others, like you're trying to show up for us right now?
Very short. Help each other, support each other with the knowledge, the experience that you have. That's very important.
Perfect. There's one right there.
I think support is also celebrating each other's wins, because if you're in community, if one person is doing something, and just to celebrate that person, to make that person feel special. And how do I personally try to show up for others? I don't know. I show up, I guess. I literally show up.
I mean, you're here.
Yeah.
That's showing up.
I guess so. Or like providing anything I can give to someone else. Yeah.
Beautiful. Anyone else? Let's go. How are you showing up, guys? How are you showing up?
I have a not
Yes.
a question, but like a thought. I sometimes find it hard to reach out to my community because I'm here and I feel like I'm fundamentally different from who I was when I left. And I don't know, I'm not the same. None of us are the same. And we're in a different context. And it's like you're different, you're more, I don't know, assimilated. And I feel like I carry a little bit of shame with that, of having like given up part of myself. So that's why I find it hard to reach out, because I'm afraid that people will see that I've given up part of myself. So I don't know if anybody else deals with that or how they deal with that. But I still try to.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, we see you. We see you. We see you.
Sometimes we do think, you touch me, so I want to react.
I was about to react. You just spoke the words. Okay, go ahead. Ladies first. Ladies first.
Oh, I didn't see you. We're going to turn around. Men first.
Oh, we gonna turn it around. Okay, okay. So I recognize it. What was that, a tear? Oh, okay, okay. I was like, whoa, it got super emotional. I recognize it, but what I can tell you is that it's part of the evolution. So you growing into the person that you're supposed to be. Many of us, we leave the islands when we're 18. And we think we're ready for the world and we're big and we're grown and no one can tell us anything, but we're still little babies. We don't really know stuff yet. So we're going to hit our heads and run into ourselves many times. And you're going to have to let go of certain parts of that identity. But that identity was also shaped and formed by the parents and the community with the tools that they had at that time for the world that they lived in at that time. And the world that you're living in today and the world that you have to grow up and strive in is a completely different world than the world that they were essentially raising you for. So it's just part of the evolution. It's like the butterfly that goes into the cocoon in one state and comes out in a completely different state. So don't worry. You're just in the middle of the process.
Yeah.
And when you come out the other side, you'll look back and don't have to feel any shame for the process that you went through.
Yeah, we're in the metamorphosis.
John said what I wanted to say, but but I'm going to add this to what John said. You're talking about you feel like you are assimilating. You have to ask yourself the question, does this feel good for me? Or am I denying a part of myself to be what I'm being right now? That's the most important question you have to ask. Because if you feel comfortable with who you are because you like house music, eh?
Yeah.
Then that's part of you. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So you have to ask yourself, am I content right now, at the moment that I'm in right now, with the way I am, quote unquote, assimilating? Because I don't think you are really, I don't think that word kloppen.
Assimilating is...
Het klopt niet helemaal, I think. Otherwise you wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Doing your thing behind that microphone, but with your people. You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes people find me strange also. Because I don't have 6 kids with 10 fathers.
Shade.
When I'm, no, but that's the mindset of people. You know, first thing they ask me, you don't have a partner? No, you don't? You must be lonely. So they fill it in for me while I'm very, very happy being on myself. You understand? So you have to ask yourself. Als het klopt voor jou, dan klopt het voor jou. Because it's about you.
Yeah. Thank you. Beautiful.
Ik herken wat je... even. Ik doe het ook even in het Nederlands. Ik herken wat je zegt, maar op een andere manier. Mijn ouders zijn van Aruba naar Nederland gekomen. En ik ben geboren in de Bijlmer, in Zuidoost. En ik ben nu 38 en voor mij blijft het, daarom ben ik hier ook. Je blijft verlangen naar die verbinding van waar je komt. En dat is ook moeilijk als je in Nederland opgroeit.
Ja.
Te begrijpen waar je roots zijn. Ik krijg altijd de vraag, waar kom je vandaan? Omdat mensen het niet begrijpen.
Ja.
En ik zeg altijd, ik kom uit de Bijlmer, uit Amsterdam. Maar het is ook een gemis als je hier opgroeit. Het blijft een zoektocht. Ik stel mezelf, nu ik ook ouder ben, vaker de vraag... wie zou ik zijn als ik wel op Aruba was geboren en opgegroeid?
Ja.
Maar dat zal ik niet weten. Ja.
Maar je bent ook van ons. Weet je? Dank je wel voor het delen. We hebben nog tijd voor nog eentje.
My comment is every little step is a big step. So just do as you feel at that moment by giving, and I think it's from the heart. Like he asked you like, did I see some tears? And you said no. But we all were carrying you like, you know.
Everybody was, I had the same.
I told y'all we would be crying. I told y'all.
Your parents are from Aruba?
Yeah.
Both of them. Because you have this also with, by, ik noem ze biculturele kinderen. When one of the parents are from the islands and one are from here. That the outside world forces you to choose which side you're on. Those kids, I find, because I have nephews and nieces that are bicultural, those kids hebben het ook moeilijk.
Yeah.
It's difficult for them too, because they feel sometimes they don't belong here, but they don't belong there either. Die heb je ook.
Ik ben in Aruba opgegroeid hoor.
Ja, nee, ik zeg niet, maar ik zeg dat die heb je dus ook. You know, so the advice that you gave is the best one. If it feels okay for you, then that's where you're supposed to be.
Mike.
So as soon as you unregister from the islands, you lose. It's like all ties are broken. So if it's not for events like this, or if it's not for the music, if it's not for the food, there's no sense of recognition whatsoever as soon as you leave the islands. So I really do understand what you're saying, because even if I did grow up there, but it hurts still being here, because I don't know where to be. And as soon as I decide, okay, no, I want to live in the Netherlands, am I betraying the islands? I want to be there. Am I then giving up an opportunity that my parents built for me? So who are you? Who can you be? Who will you be? And as soon we can't vote, we don't. What ties do we have with the islands? If it's not with the food, if it's not with the music, and if it's not with events like these, what ties do we have with the islands? And our language.
What ties do we want to have with the islands? We have enough time for one more question or two or a comment. Yes, speak your mind. Anyone? Oh.
Very short. I find this a very interesting question about kids with parents born here or born in Aruba or Curacao, grow up here. I find it very interesting. And it's a topic that we have too little attention for. And why I'm saying that, I was born in Curacao from parents coming from the British islands. Which one? Nevis and St. Kitts.
Ah.
And then I try to compare what you are feeling here with how I was brought up in Curacao. And then you see that the community and your parents are very important also. Your parents are very important. Because we were privileged in our family that our parents came to Curacao and they supported us and they themselves mingled into the community. So we didn't feel ourselves like we didn't. There were discriminatory comments about English people, Beji, calling us Beji, but still, we didn't have that problem that we couldn't survive. We survived, we joined the community, we spoke Papiamento in the streets, and in the home, we spoke English to our parents, and to each other, we spoke Dutch and Papiamento and English. And I didn't have much problem because, and that's why I said we have too little attention for that, because our parents moved to the Netherlands and they themselves have problem with surviving in this community, because the Dutch community is a very strange community. It's very strange.
I mean, yeah.
They do not accept you easily. And if you as parents yourself have to deal daily with surviving in the community, and I understand that you would not have the time and the to have the attention to support your kids in surviving in the community.
Yeah.
And then I understand the questions that you all have, and I feel it. But then I'm comparing it when I see myself, how I grew up in Curacao, and then still it's in the difference, because Curacao have a multicultural community. There are people from Venezuela, Haiti, Santo Domingo, Suriname, all over the world. How much? 54, 100 and something nationalities. So we still deal at a certain way with each other.
Yeah.
While here, the European Dutch, is dominant, and in their identity, in the way they look at foreigners, they just exclude you, definitely. Yeah. And that makes it very difficult for you to feel at ease.
Thank you.
A Surinamese Deul. Janice Deul. Janice Deul just wrote a book. Kan ik hier nog thuis zijn?
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I still have to start reading it, but I'm hearing you all tonight. I'm going to put it right up to start reading, because to see what she's saying about why she's asking herself that question.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much. Thank you all, everyone, for being here, for sharing your full selves, for participating in this program, for being a part of our community, for sharing the roots that connects us. Thank you to Pakhuis Zwijger and to Stichting We Connect for hosting. Thank you to all the panelists and the musician. Thank you for being here. Thank you, all of you. Be encouraged in knowing that together here we are home. Be encouraged in knowing that together we create space and hold space for each other, and that we can create a community of trust if we are willing. Be encouraged in your week, in your weekend, in doing what you're doing, in building change. for yourselves, and be hopeful that as we lay ourselves bare, that others will be there to carry us forward too. Thank you very much. My name is Gilberto Mauricio, and this was Bou di Watapana. There's drinks outside, and there's still pastechi here.